Okay, beta. So we will do thoraco-abdominal diaphragm first. Okay. So what is thoraco-abdominal diaphragm? I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Okay. So thoraco-abdominal diaphragm is nothing but it's a muscular partition which is present between the thorax and abdomen. Okay. And we know it is a chief muscle of respiration. It is dome shaped and it consists of peripheral muscular part and central fibrous part. This is the peripheral part which is all made up of muscle, and this is the central fibrous part. I told you central tendon is the area where all muscle fibers will just get inserted. Okay, that is the central tendon. Then now, so it is fibromuscular sheet which separates the thoracic cavity from abdominal cavity. It is convex superiorly and concave from down. It is the main inspiratory muscle. See here. Now convex concave part you can see here only better. See, if you just observe like this, if you see from superiorly it is convex, and if you see from down it is concave. Okay, then so if you just look at this picture you will understand what is the bone we have in the midline. We have sternum. So sternum has three parts. What are those? Manubrium, body, and xiphoid process. So like the anterior fibers are actually coming from the xiphoid process of the sternum, posterior aspect of the xiphoid process. On either side of the rib cage, like thoracic cage, what do we have? We have ribs. So laterally it is coming from the lower six ribs. So posteriorly what do we have? We have lumbar vertebrae. So it will be coming from lumbar vertebra. So that means origin, it has sternal part, it has costal part, and then it has vertebral part. So sternal part, I'll show you. See, this is the sternal part which is coming from the posterior aspect of xiphoid sternum. Okay, these are all ribs, whatever has been shown, like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Actually on either side you will have 6. So deep surfaces of lower 6 ribs and their costal cartilages, that is the costal origin. So we have sternal origin, then we have costal origin, and what are these you are finding? These are the lumbar vertebrae. So from the lumbar vertebrae also we have the origins. Okay, what are those? Let us see. From the right and left crura and arcuate ligament. Now see here, this round green in colored structure what you are finding, you call it as median arcuate ligament. Median arcuate ligament. Then on either side we have medial arcuate ligament. This side also we have medial arcuate ligament. Then we have lateral arcuate ligament. It's written here. This is medial arcuate ligament and this is lateral arcuate ligament. So these are bone arches which are seen formed over the first lumbar vertebra like this. Okay, this is green one, median arcuate ligament, and connecting the transverse process body to the transverse process. You can see this is the body of the lumbar vertebra and this is the transverse process of lumbar vertebra. So connecting these, you are finding medial arcuate ligament, this one, medial arcuate ligament. Now from the tip of the transverse process to the last cartilage, you have one more extension, you call it as lateral arcuate ligament. Here also you can see, this is median arcuate ligament. Okay, then we have medial arcuate ligament, lateral arcuate, this also. Medial is extending from the lateral aspect of the second lumbar vertebra to the tip of the tip of the transverse process of first lumbar vertebra. Whereas lateral arcuate ligament is extending from the tip of the transverse process of the first lumbar vertebra to the 12th rib. So we have median arcuate ligament, midline. That's why median. So this is medial arcuate ligament, then we have lateral arcuate ligament. Now if you observe, there are, see, muscular like extensions which are seen in the form of crura or crus. Singular is crus and on the two sides you use the word crura. Okay, the same thing is shown in red color here. This muscular extension, what you are finding on the right side, you call it as the right crus, and on the left side, we call it as left crus. Okay, so right crus is extending up to L3 vertebra, L1, L2, L3, whereas left crus is extending from L1 to L2 only. Okay, so why the right crus is larger? Any idea? Any guess? So right crus of diaphragm is larger and stronger because on the right side, under the right dome of the diaphragm, we have liver. So when the we know diaphragm is the chief muscle of respiration. So when diaphragm is contracting during inspiration, when it is coming down, so this muscle will pull it down. Okay, that's why right crus is larger and it is also stronger when you compare with left crus of diaphragm. Okay, this is left crus and this is right crus. On the right side, we have only stomach, spleen. These are not so bulky organs, right? That's the reason. So right crus is stronger and longer when you compare with the left crus. Okay, I hope origin is clear. Niharika?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So once you understand these, then we will see insertion. See, insertion actually we did. So sternal fibers, coastal fibers, and lumbar fibers, they are all moving as though this is flower, and in the flower we have one central area, right? So central tendon appears as though it is a central area, and all muscle fibers are moving towards central tendon. Okay. So central tendon. Now we have three openings. What are the three major openings we have? In the central tendon, we have the opening of inferior vena cava, and in the diaphragm, we have the opening of esophagus, and here in the median arcuate ligament, we have an opening for aorta. If you remember, we discussed these two structures in detail as essay, azygous vein and thoracic duct. I told you in the opening of aorta, the azygous vein and thoracic duct are also passing. Okay, esophageal opening is also carrying the like passage for right and left vagus nerves, and we have right and left gastric arteries, and inferior vena cava opening is giving passage to right phrenic nerve. Is that clear? So draw this well labeled diagram and write in your own words better. Try to understand whatever I am telling. Screen record my lecture, listen to it carefully, and you can write, frame your own sentences, and you can write also. Okay? Now, if you observe on the right and left crust close by, you are finding these black structures. Actually, this is sympathetic chain. Okay, it's written here, sympathetic chain. And see here, below the last rib, that is the 12th rib, you are finding certain blood vessels and nerves. You call them as subcoastal vessels and nerves. Okay, subcoastal vessels and nerves. So each and every labeling of this is very important, beta. And if you remember me telling, like IOA 8 10 12, what is that? I is what is I? Inferior vena cava opening. It is present at the level of 8th thoracic vertebra. O is esophageal opening, that is at the level of 10th thoracic vertebra. And aortic opening, it is at the level of 12th thoracic vertebra. IOA 8 10 12. You just remember this code, it becomes easy for you. This is one more way we are seeing from the abdominal aspect. Okay, that's why you are finding it is concave. This is central tendon in green color. This is inferior vena cava opening. This is esophageal opening, and this is aortic opening. Okay, so this is the last rib where we have the subcostal vessels and nerves. So this is our psoas major muscle. Okay, this is iliacus. So whatever are visible, I have shown you everything. Okay, insertion is the central tendon. So this is all central tendon, you can see. So it has middle leaflet towards the xiphoid process, right leaflet towards the right side of the body, left leaflet towards the left side. And in the central area, we have the opening for inferior vena cava. Okay. So diaphragm is dome shaped. Laterally, if you see, it appears as though it is inverted J shaped. So right dome is at the level of fifth rib, moves up to fourth space in full expiration when it moves up. Left dome is at the level of lower border of fifth rib. Here, this is upper border and this is lower border. High up in supine, all this is not required. Nerve supply is important. See, motor nerve supply, you just remember phrenic. The word phrenic itself indicates, meaning phrenic means diaphragm. Okay, it is both sensory and motor. See, in sensory also you got phrenic nerve, in motor also you got phrenic nerve. Just write phrenic nerve, it is enough. Blood supply. So, what are the nearby blood vessels? You should think always. So, lower five intercostal and subcoastal arteries we have. Okay, then right and left inferior phrenic arteries, which come directly from abdominal aorta. Okay, then now, functions, we know it is muscle of inspiration. See, whenever abdominal strain is required, like when you are passing motion or when you are passing urine or when you are coughing, when you are sneezing, when the mother is giving birth to baby, lot of strain is required. So, intra-abdominal pressure is increased by the descent of diaphragm. Okay, while weightlifting also thoraco-abdominal pump it acts as. Okay, so this I told you 8, 10, 12, and we know inferior vena cava, esophagus and aorta, and the other openings also we have seen diagrammatically. Okay, so right crus I told you, on the either side we have that sympathetic chain, right? So development I will discuss later, Vita. Now you will not even understand. We will do it like all together. Once we are done with major questions, we'll start whenever you say no. Okay, so diseases, they are basically concerned with hernias only. So suppose if the right and left dome of the diaphragm, if they are not properly fused, there may be openings in the diaphragm, which is actually called as hernia. So if it is behind the sternum, you call it as retrosternal hernia, also called as Morgagni's hernia. Okay, it can be in the posterolateral central position. It may be towards the crura also. Okay, different grades of hernias we have. Hernia is nothing but a hole in the diaphragm. So if there is any hole like that, the loops of intestines which are supposed to be in the abdomen, they just leak from this area and they tend to enter into the thoracic cage. And if the opening is quite big, the baby may die because of suffocation. The baby will not have any space in the thoracic cage for the lungs and heart also if the hole is big. Okay, so that is a very dangerous condition. So we have, if a small opening is there and a part of stomach is protruding into thorax, then you call it as hiatus hernia. Hiatus hernia, part of stomach protruding into the thoracic cage due to a big opening of the esophageal opening. Okay, so eventration is like when you see intestinal parts are all herniating into thorax. Okay, suppose if phrenic nerve is not functioning, it will lead to paralysis. Okay, so that is all about diaphragm beta. Hope this is clear. And let me check the next question what has been asked by you people. Okay.